Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for just being here. Thank you so much. If you can already tell by the title, this is gonna be a get ready with me story time about me coming to Montreal and following this faith move of what I feel like God called me to do, navigating the uncertainty of following what entails when following God's call. And this story time also entail the seasons that led up to this moment. Because I think it does. I think it was important for what I'm doing here, even though I don't know what I'm doing yet, but it was orchestrated divinely in a way to allow me to be here today, or allow me to navigate the uncertainty of moving to a new city. I don't know if I'm like gonna be saying like, oh, and this is me putting on my concealer, or if I'm just gonna be doing it. So I'm still new to this YouTube stuff. Anyways, if I'm like looking somewhere, I'm also looking at like my mirror too. I guess I should start on when I initially came into the city. So about a couple years ago, I went to the city of Montreal, just spontaneously. I was literally bored. It was the summer, and I was like, what if I go to Montreal? It's a French part of Canada. Different, like everybody goes to certain areas in Canada, like Toronto or Vancouver, you know what I mean? Like certain, just like people usually go to certain parts of Canada and kind of like forget about like Montreal, or like I don't want to say they forget, like it's still a very popular city in Canada, but like because it's a French speaking city, I feel like it's often neglected unless you're from like outside of Canada. Maybe that's just me, but like a lot of people that I know don't really think and say, oh, let me go visit Montreal. Do you know what I mean? And so I was like, why don't I go there? I'm bored. I'm like, I don't want to say I was like bored per se, but I was more so like, when I had the funds, not even that, I'm like, I have the time, I have the funds to do it. Why don't I just book a spontaneous trip for me to go to Montreal, right? And that's what I did. I literally booked a ticket. Mind you, I did a solo trip too, so it was like, that's what made it even more crazier, is because I've never done a solo trip by myself. I went on trips with other people. I went on trips where like I maybe was flying by myself and I met people there. Like I've done those things, but I've like never ever done a trip where I was like solo, like flying solo, doing everything solo, like planning the whole trip, and like, you know what I mean? Like I've never done that before, which was, I don't want to say it's very rare for me to do, because I don't want to say it's rare. It's not something that I would never do. It was something that I've never done up to that point. Yeah, mind you, it's like a French-speaking country, like, you know what I mean? So it's like, I didn't know what to expect, in the sense that like I don't know the culture. Like I don't really know the culture of Quebec. Like I just didn't know what to expect, or what to I didn't really know what to expect. So I'm like, I don't really know what to like get out of it. Like I was just very, very like nervous, but like I didn't know what to expect of it, but I'm like, I really want to go, and I have the means, the time, I have the funds to do it. Why don't I just go? And literally it was the most it was spontaneous. It was probably one of the most spontaneous things I've ever done, in the sense that like, I think less than a week, I booked the train, I booked the plane ticket, I booked the Airbnbs, hotels, everything I needed to do, and I just left. And then I think like the Sunday, like I think it was like a Wednesday or Thursday I did it, and then the Sunday I left. Mind you, I was literally like pooping my pants. Like I was so nervous because I didn't know what to expect. Like, what the hell am I doing flying solo on a trip? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I've never done it before. None of my like family members have ever done it before. I don't think any of my friends have done like a solo trip or anything like that before, so I was very much like nervous. Very, very nervous. Do you know what I mean? I was very like much nervous. Like I was like questioning myself. I'm like, I say there's probably a reason why people don't do solo trips. It's bad, it's scary, but things can happen. Like, just almost like tell myself like, you made a bad decision. Mind you, I already paid for the hotel, the Airbnb, the ticket, the plane ticket, the train ticket, all this stuff already, so I'm not backing out. Like, I have the funds, but I don't have wasted money funds. Like, do you know what I mean? So I'm like, I got to go. But I was very, very nervous. And like, I kind of prayed, like, I will say, like, I kind of prayed about it before, but I'm still navigating, even still now, like, navigating what it means to hear God, if it's me, like, what is me. I'm still navigating what it means to hear God even to this day. But, like, I don't want to say I was very new to it, but I'm still, like, don't know what's me. I guess I've gone a little bit better now, but I still didn't know, like, that, like, what's me? What am I, like, twisting the word to make it fit me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is this God that replied when I read the Bible? Or is it like, you know, oh, I think I put the wrong concealer on. This is totally not my shade. Whatever. Anyways, like, you know what I mean? Like, I was very much like, did I do something wrong? There's, like, you know, is it wise what I did? Like, what the hell did I do? And did I make the right decision? Like, very much questioning every single thing that I did. Like, literally, it was very spontaneous. And I'm like, was it divinely orchestrated? I mean, like, everything's divinely orchestrated, right? Like, but, like, that's, in hindsight, that's what I think of. But anyways, that's what first introduced me to the city. I loved it. I loved that it's filled with arts and culture. I loved just, like, the culture here. I just liked the city. It was beautiful. Like, it's just nice. Like, it was a beautiful city. And I'm like, it's a good all-around city. It is slower paced than most major cities. I would still say it's a good city. And, like, mind you, like, New York, like, if you wanted to taste or if you wanted to visit a city that's a little bit more fast paced, there's always Toronto, there's always New York, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I was telling myself. But anyways, I love the city. It was beautiful. Like, it was just a nice city. Just kind of had almost everything I liked about, like, I would want in a city. Not even that, just, like, certain things that made me be like, this could be home. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so I'm like, this city looks really good. So after I came back from Montreal, I was like, obviously, I don't know, this is like what everybody does after they come back from a city, but I'm like, this city is really nice. Like, really, really nice. Like, I actually really, really like the city. I'm like, let me see cost of living. Like, is rent high here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is a major city, or one of the biggest cities, or if not the second biggest city in Canada. Like, it's a big city. Like, what is the rent like here? Like, what is cost of living like here? Like, what is jobs? Like, what is it like? And is it something I could do? Do you know what I mean? I mean, nothing's impossible, so anything is something you could do, but, like, is it something that's, like, I could do soon? Like, just, is it attainable? Like, what is it? Like, do you know what I mean? So I'm like, or I don't want to say is it attainable, but is it something I could do, like, very soon? Is it something I could do in the near future? Like, all that stuff. Anyways, when I got home to Winnipeg, I searched everything up. I looked at rent, I looked at just the cost of living, like, just jobs. What does it take for me to move there? Again, it's in the French part of Canada, in the French province of Canada, may I say. Do I need to speak French? Like, can I get by with not speaking French? Like, again, like, as a tourist, I can get by speaking French, not speaking French, but as, like, as a resident, or what is it, as a citizen, or as someone that lives here, can I get by not speaking French? Or would I need to learn French? Is that something that, like, is that, like, a next step I would need to do, right? So, like, okay, so that's what I did. I searched it up, like, just did research about the city, and I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, again, like, I know you probably need to learn French, do all those things. So I'm like, okay, so I might need to learn French if I move here. Not that bad. I do have a little bit of a French background. I did do French immersion, although that was years ago. So I'm like, it's not unattainable. Like, just a little bit of practice, you know what I mean? Just a little bit of practice, and just kind of, like, like relearning a little bit of my French and stuff like that, and like I kind of know the areas in which I need to practice. Just targeting those areas, it wouldn't be bad for me, right? Again, rent is cheap, much cheaper, if not cheaper than most major cities. Actually, it's actually kind of crazy. This is not something that's like crazy to do. Like I could very possibly like live here. Do you know what I mean? It's not something that's like far-fetched. So I'm like, okay, it's not bad. And I began looking at apartments and began like, okay, something I could do this year. Can I do it this year? Should I ask God to do it this year? Like, you know what I mean? And I looked at it and I knew deep down it wasn't the time for me to move. So I'm like, maybe next year this time, your girl is going to be in Montreal. She's gonna be living her best life in Montreal. This is the time she's gonna be living it. So that's it. So that's what I did. So I'm like, it's very funny. I'm like, yeah, but in my head I'm like, I need a reason to move here. Like I can't just move here just to move here. Like, do I have a job here? Should I go to school here? Like, there has to be a reason for me to move here. I can't just move here just to move here. Like, that'd be crazy. Do you know what I mean? Like, in my head, I have to find some viable reason for me to move to Montreal, especially a French-speaking part. Like, girl, am I sitting like, you know what I mean? Like, you think about all these things. Like, I gotta find a reason that would make sense to me. But, yeah. Like, I gotta find a reason that would make sense to me, that makes sense for me to move here. Yeah, so I'm like, I need to find a viable reason, a reason for me to move to this part of Canada. And that's what I did. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, I can go to school here. So that's what I did. I found a school, found it in a good area. I'm like, I could find an apartment near here. Like, this is not something that's far-fetched. Like, I could very much do this. So I applied to the school. I got all my information that I needed to apply. Just did everything I did. Deep down, mind you, deep down, way deep down, deep down. I knew. God didn't want me to move here. No, God didn't want me to move at that time. Like, I knew, like, I could possibly be moving to Montreal, but that wasn't the time I'm supposed to be moving to Montreal. And I knew that if I moved, that God wouldn't be with me when I moved, in the sense that, like, God's hand wouldn't be there. But I'm like, I want to go to Montreal. Like, I love the city so much that I'm like, I really do want to move. I don't want to stay where I am. I want to move. But again, I knew that everything I was doing, I was orchestrating. I was like, I want to move there. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to do it myself. And I'm going to give myself a reason to move there. That way it makes sense to me. It makes sense to everything around me. Deep down, makes sense to just everything. Like, it'll make sense to everything. Like, I wanted to move because it just makes sense to me to just move at that time. Right? And so that's what I did. Uh-oh. Yeah, so that's what I did. I applied to the school. Like, kind of like warned my dad, like, hey, I could be moving. Like, September, it's looking like I'm going to school. And my courses, what it would look like for me, what I would do, everything that I needed to do just to get where I need to go. Does that make sense? I did everything I needed to do to get where I needed to go. Like, I planned out, like, the courses, this is what I need. I can get my degree, I can finish my schooling. Like, it's not far-fetched. Like, I planned out that. Yeah, we all know what happens when you do that. So your girl applied. They answered. And you want to know what they said? Hi, Jose. we deny your acceptance, or no, what do I say? Thank you for your application, but we deny your here. So, first of all, I got accepted to my university. This is like my GPA, like I had a really good GPA going into that, but the reasoning was we want to give more seats to people that live here. Since you already have a background in schooling, we want to make sure that people here do have the ability to actually people can go to university after this type of schooling, but it's like we got programs here where you don't need to do that if you don't want to. Like you can become an LPN, you could become what you need here. Do you know what I mean? Like you can become what you need here. But they're like the reasoning made sense, and I did have a background in university already. Like I understood, I think like school, like the CHEP or whatever it's called, I think it is free to Quebec residents, so I would be taking spots for people that one live here that would also be coming here for free, right? Like this is an opportunity for, you know, other students, and I kind of understood that. And quite ultimately I knew it was God, because I knew I wasn't supposed to be there, and that was God telling me, I say, like, why are you going without me? Like, I told you now is not the time for you to go. But your girl was like, God, like, I don't want to be here. It's a city, like, I love it. It's beautiful. Like, I could create a life here. Like, I could create, like, you know, this could be the next chapter of my life. Whatever it may be, whether it's for a couple years, a couple months, like, this could be the next chapter of my life. Do you know what I mean? Like, this very much could be the next chapter of my life. But I knew that was God's grace, because I knew I wasn't supposed to go. I knew I wasn't supposed to go, but that was me kind of like being God. Yeah, so that, like, I tried doing it myself. Like, I don't want to say, like, oh, I waited until the time was right and God told me to move, and it was this beautiful thing. Like, it wasn't like that from the jump. Like, I very much, like, tried to do it on my own, and God denied that. So yeah, it wasn't like this huge beautiful like thing. Mind you, the journey that led up to this, I've never encountered a season in my life like this before. Like, it was not where I expected the next season for me to be in. Do you know what I mean? And that's what happened. Like, I tried to be God. I tried to be like, you know, I got this. Like, looked at apartments around it. Like, yeah, all that discarded. So I'm like, oh. I still had an idea that, like, Montreal could still be for me. But I kind of, like, I don't want to say I dropped the idea. But it wasn't primarily on the forefront. But it was always an idea that, like, I always wanted to move. But it was like I kind of didn't put it on, like, the forefront of, like, my mind anymore. It was very much just still there, but, like, I will no longer was really focusing on it, but I really was, but I really wasn't, but I really was, but I really wasn't. Like, I don't know if I was being distracted, but it wasn't, I guess it wasn't constantly like running in my mind, but it was there. Anyways, fast forward, back, rewind, whatever, same season, different season, crazy season, whatever of my life. I'm very much like, yeah, lean on, yeah, I know all that, like, my life is in the hands of the maker of heaven, like, I know all of that, but very much in my life, I'm like, I'm gonna go to university, I'm gonna do my courses, get my life in check, then, but I'm like, I'm trusting you, God, after I do this, like, not after I do this, but while I do this, like, God, I trust in what you're gonna do, but I'm also doing something just in case, so, like, I got something, like, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna do this degree, God, I trust in you. I don't know if this is what you want me to, assuming this is the right thing for me to do, not what God wants me to do, but assuming it's the right thing for me to do, I'm gonna take this course, do whatever, and then because I took that course, I'm like, God, I since I'm doing my plan B or whatever, what I think is right for me to do, I cannot trust in you because I've orchestrated this part of my life, I've planned this part of my life, so I got this just in case. But because I'm doing this, I feel safe enough to say, like, God, I trust in you. But it wasn't like full like trust, like, God, if this is what you want me to do, I trust in you and I'm following you through and surely, like, wholly trusting God in it. Like, God, you want me to do this, but I don't know if this is to do, like, but not like that, like, not surrendering my will to God, but me doing my own will. And then, like, because I'm doing my own will, I'm like, God, I trust in you and everything, but not fully trusting God in everything, or not giving my will to God and trusting in him in that. That's how my life was. So, like, I'll work, I'll do whatever. I'm like, God, I trust in you. Schooling, I trust in you. God, you're so good. God, you Spirit lead me where my trust is without borders. Like, all of that, like, that was very much me. God, I trust in you. Spirit lead me where my trust is without borders. God, I trust in you and everything you're about to do in my life. Like, it wasn't very much like that. Yeah, so the season leading up to the season was very much a season of rest, I would say. It's very much a season of rest. And it's crazy, and I say that in hindsight, but I notice it then that, like, God was, first of all, God is God. He knows everything. He does everything. He doesn't need to let us know why he's doing what he's doing. Like, I don't know why I thought that, but, like, I'm like, I used to be praying, like, God, like, I need you to provide for me in this season. I need you to do this for me in this season. God, I need you to change something, because God, I don't know what the season is, but what the hell, like, literally, like, I'm not being honest, like, what the hell is going on? Like, what the hell is going on? And that very much was the season leading up to it. And I guess, to be transparent and honest, I went to a job to do something on my own will, didn't work out, had to leave it, and it left me kind of in a place where I didn't have it it left me in a place where I had to leave. And because of that, I didn't have something in my eyes to provide for me. I left in a place where I didn't have anything for myself to do. Yeah, and I knew what I did was the best thing for me at the moment. Not the moment, I knew what I did was the best thing for me. So I did it. It's back to, so after that, all that happened, I left the thing, and I'm like, okay, God, this is what I did. Now I need you to tell me if I'm supposed to be moving to Montreal. Now I'm in a place where it's easier for me to actually shift everything and leave. I need to know now, because I don't want to start something here. Like, I don't want to get myself distracted. Like, if I start, like, if I do something else, if I start doing something else here, I'm gonna get distracted and I won't think about it at all. Like, I don't want to say think about it, but I'm gonna get distracted in what I'm supposed to do in my life. And I didn't want that to happen. So I'm like, God, I need you to tell me if Montreal's something you want me to do, because God, I can pack up now and I could just leave. You know what I mean? Like, I can pack up now, find an apartment, and leave. But I also need you to let me know if that's something you want me to do, because if it's not something you want me to do, I just left something of what it looks like of not having your hand in something and what that looks like. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that with this, because the last thing I want to do is to leave my city and be in a new city without your hand over me, without your hand in everything that I do. Is to move out and not have your providence. You know what I mean? That was my prayer. Like, God, like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know if I'm on the right path. Like, I just don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm in this place where it's hard, it's difficult. Like, I'm not doing anything to provide for myself. So I'm like, God, like, or I'm not doing anything to provide for myself substantially, because I'm in this place where I'm like, in this transition where like I don't really know what I'm supposed to do, and I didn't want to get myself grounded because I've done that so many times where I'm like, I got so distracted with just life and work and everything, tend to do what I'm supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? And so like I'm not providing substantially, so I'm like, God, like I need you to provide for me. I asked like, God, like just give me opportunities, you know, or God provide. Like I was just praying to God, and I'm like, God, tell me to move Montreal. Like tell me to move to Montreal, because right now I'm in this place where it's like I'm not comfortable. Like I'm not providing for myself as great as I was before, and I'm in this season of transition, which is, in hindsight, I didn't think about it as a season of transition. I think it was both a season of transition and rest, but I didn't think of it like that then. I just more so thought of it like, I'm in this, what the hell am I doing? Do you know what I mean? And in hindsight, again, it was a season of rest and transition. So I'm like, God, like I don't know what I'm doing. I need you to help me, because I actually don't know what I'm doing. And I don't know what I'm supposed to do, and I need your help because I don't want to make the mistake of what I did in my last season, right? And I asked God, like, God provide, like, God give me financial opportunities to just flourish and to provide, like just praying to God, like those were my prayers. And I know I kind of reiterated that already, but it was a season of rest and transition. But it was a season, like looking back, it was a season of rest, because it was allowing God to work while I'm resting. And not in the sense of like rest, I'm like, oh, I'm sleeping, but in the sense of like rest, like it was like I was providing as substantial as I was before, but it was the season of rest God wanted me to be in like rest and trusting in God. Do you know what I mean? Like trusting in God fully, like to rest into God's, like resting in God's promises, resting and just trusting God for who He is. And because I've never done that before, it was so uncomfortable. Like, do you know what I mean? I've never done it. It was so weird. It was so uncomfortable. I've never done it before. I don't know how that feels like. I don't know how that looks like. I don't know. It was so hard and so difficult. And I'm always like, God, change my situation. Change my life. Change this. Like, God, please do something. Do you want me to do this? Like, God, give me answers. Like, just praying to God. But little did I know He's already orchestrating something on my behalf. You know what I mean? And that's literally what happened. And because I'm so fixed on what that's actually supposed to look like, I'm not actually looking at what God's actually doing. Like, God's providing for me. God's actually providing for me in ways that I've never seen before. Provided for me financially, like He provided for me with things that I needed. And I didn't notice that then, but when I look back, I'm like, God provided so much for me. I was in this season of rest, season of like not doing a lot, yet God provided, and I was thinking, God, do this, do that, because I had an idea of what that was supposed to look like. But God was orchestrating something on His behalf. I needed that season of rest. I needed that season of knowing what it looks like to trust God when it doesn't look like things are going the way that you anticipated. I needed that more than anything. Had I not had that season, I would have never been able to move here to Montreal. And trusting God in the way that I trust, because I saw my last season and my season of rest and what that looked like, and what that looked like for God to provide for me substantially. Do you know what I mean? Provide for me. Where I wasn't doing a lot, I can now know what that looks like to trust in God, because He is faithful. He is good. He is my Father. He's a provider. You know what I mean? Like, I now know what that looks like because I've experienced this side of God. I know it is because I've experienced this God. You know what I mean? And before, I didn't. I was too fixed on being hostile, being this hyper independent person where I didn't really need anybody to do anything for me because I could do it myself. Do you know what I mean? And because And because of my last season, I was able to actually see what that looks like. I was able to see what trusting in God looks like. Do you know what I mean? What focusing on what God says and God's word looks like. And to be quite honest with you, I know it has strengthened my relationship with God, because I know that it has strengthened my relationship with God, because I know this side of God, but it gave me this faith in like doing things, but this faith in God. Do you know what I mean? Giving me this faith in God that I would have never experienced ever in any other aspect of my life. Do you know what I mean? And that's what that season did. Like if God said he got me. Why am I so stressed on making sure that I got everything good on myself? Like, I don't control anything. I really don't. It looks like I can try to control stuff. I really can pretend like I'm controlling things, but there's really nothing I can pretend. I could work tomorrow and my boss fire me. Like, I don't control stuff. Like, I could try to do things and I ultimately don't control anything. I don't. But God does. And that's what that season taught me. Like, hey, Hasid, I need you to know that I'm God. Literally, I'm God. I am God. Everything bows down to me. Everything bows down to Jesus. Everything does. Everything. Every circumstance bows down to me. Everything goes at my command. Everything works because I said for it. Everything works because I said it. Everything goes because I said it, says it goes. Everything goes because I said it goes, not because you did it. And I didn't know that. Like, you read about it, you hear about it, you know this part of God because you read about it. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, God is good because I know he's good. It says in the Bible. God's faithful because God is faithful because it says that in the Bible. God is good because it says that in the Bible. But to know God is good, to know God is faithful, to know God is a provider, to know God for who he is, that's what I learned in this last season, and it strengthened me as a follower of Jesus, and it strengthened me as God's daughter. You know what I mean? And yeah, like, I guess I'm so passionate because, like, this uncomfortable season, deeply uncomfortable season, gave me strength for this season, you know? So yes, for a year and a half I was very much praying, like, God, tell me move to Montreal, tell me didn't get an answer for a year and a half. So I was very frustrated too. Like, mind you, I say all this, but like, I was very frustrated. I'm like, God, I know you're still good. Mind you, there's a whole bunch of other circumstances that happened in my life as well that, like, obviously would get me, like, frustrated as well, would get me sad or mad, like, you know. And God is good. All I gotta say is God is good. It's very humbling. All I gotta say, it's a very humbling thing to go through what I went through. But after a year and a half later, I said it wasn't in the forefront of, like, okay, like, I'm not, like, it's still my prayer, like, God, do you want me to move to Montreal? But it's like, I'm not moving if you don't want me to move. Like, it's not something I'm orchestrating on my own now. Like, at your command I'm going, not at mine. And understand and knowing that, like, I'm not moving without God telling me to move. But it was still my prayer. I'm still believing that, like, God, is this something you want me to do? Like, God, you put in, like, it's in my heart. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? So I'm like, God, is Montreal something you want me to do? And I remember there was always, like, a prayer that I had, but it wasn't, like, the forefront of what I'm supposed to do. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so it's something I'm supposed to do, and I know it's I don't want to say it's something I'm supposed to do, actually. It was something that I wanted to do, but I don't know if it's something I'm supposed to do. So it's something that's, like, my prayer still. Like, God, do you want me to move to Montreal? And I remember a year and a half later, like, almost a year later, like, a year and 2 months, actually. Yeah, a year and 2 months. Yeah, a year and 2 months. No, yeah, a year and 2 months later. I moved a year and a half later. A year and 2 months later, somebody spoke like a word over me, and you're like, I think you're like, something's my spirit's telling me you're getting ready to move, and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, God, am I supposed to move now? Like, is it now? You know what I mean? And yeah, I was like, God, is this what I'm supposed to do? Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, God, is this not even this what I'm like, ooh wee. Ooh wee. Ooh wee. Anyways, so I'm like very much like, God, is it now? God, like not even just that, but like, God, you answer my prayer. Where I'm like thinking like God was answering my prayer all along. I don't think he needs to tell me what's going on in my life or why he's doing what he's doing in my life, but like that was the first time, like literally in a year and a bit, where I actually like heard a clear response, like a response, like a possible plausible response. You know what I mean? And I'm like, God, is this you? And they were just speaking stuff that was relevant to my last season and what my next season would look like. And I'm like, God, are you answering my prayer? Are you answering my prayer? You know? And I'm like, I was very much like surprised, not surprised, very much like astonished, I guess I'd say. Is this you? You know? And even like doubting that too, like I was doubting that, like, God. And I'm like, well, I was telling her like I want to move to here, da, 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 and she was just speaking life over me for my next season. My current season, it was just, there's truth in what she was saying, and I'm like, this could be you. This is you, God, you know. And I remember just having, and not even that, like just praying about it and starting getting signs, confirmation, like, you know what I mean, like this is what God wants me to do, having that like inkling in my heart, like, okay, having that peace, that confirmation in my heart, like, okay, I say, get prepared to move because you're moving very soon. You know what I mean? Like get ready for that season in your life, because now it's actually not that far away. So you take everything that people say, prophesy, whatever, with a grain of salt, and you gotta pray about it, like, you know what I mean? No, like go on it on your own as well. And then that's what I did too, and I started just getting confirmation too, just like about like just what my next season in life would be, and it was very much aligning with, you know, what that person said, but also aligning with what was going on in my heart. And I was getting like answers, like Las Vegas, like, I'm like, God, you're answering me. And like, because I thought I wasn't hearing from God, or God wasn't listening to my prayers, or he wasn't hearing me, I'm like, God, I'm getting confirmation all the time, like all the time, just with different signs, things to confirm to me this is what God is doing in my life. You know, my verse of the year, just like everything, you know, just like everything was just aligning, you know. And I was like, God, this is what you want me to do. Oh, okay, so this is my next season. Sorry, I'm like going really hard, you can see like my eyelid. Yeah, like, God, this is something you want me to do. Okay, cool. Okay, planning for it, like, okay, get peace in my heart. Yes, I'm on the right path. Okay, Montreal could be the right path, like, you know what I mean? Tell my parents about it. They're getting like feeling peace about it, like, you know what I mean? There's nothing that's telling them, like, you know what I mean? Just getting good response as well, you know. And that was really good for me to hear as well, just like a good response, and just like everything was just working out, you know, which is great. And was what I wanted. I don't want to say like, yes, it's what I wanted, but it was like just everything like was just confirmation and peace. I was just getting supreme peace. You know what I mean? And I didn't even understand what peace that surpasses all understanding actually felt like and looked like, because I never experienced that before. But I was like, why do I feel numb to it? Like, you know, when I make bad decisions or impulse decisions, in the sense like things are impulsive, or when I got burnt out in university, there's a certain feeling I had whenever I was burnt out. When I was studying for exams, like I walked into exams where I didn't study for it because I was so burnt out. I felt so numb to it, and there's no need. Like I didn't feel worry. I didn't feel anything telling me to just go study for it because I was so burnt out. And I'm like, I'm not doing it anymore. And I'm not doing it anymore. So I'm like, I just walked. There's exams that I walked into without studying, and now it's this almost like the same feeling I had. I'm like, am I making a dumb decision? Because I know me going to an exam without studying is a bad decision. So I'm like, am I making a bad decision? And then I started thinking, like, am I doing something wrong? Because I'm having that same feeling from when I was in university. You know what I mean? This feeling of numbness. And then I was pondering. And obviously, like, the word says, a peace that surpasses all understanding, right? And I'm like, Hase, what you have is a peace that surpasses all understanding. You feel so at peace about what you're not feeling anxiety, you're not feeling doubt. Like, obviously you have that little bit of doubt, but like you're not feeling that like opposition, you're not feeling that whatever, because what you're feeling right now is a peace that surpasses all understanding. You can't even comprehend that, because I didn't understand why I was feeling like that. Like, why am I walking in that peace? Why am I walking in this feeling? Like, I don't feel anxious, I don't feel scared. I'm not fluent in French. I don't have people here. Like, it wouldn't make sense for me to move here. It makes sense for someone to come here and to move here. It would be almost a grave mistake. Do you know what I mean? And so, yeah, so I'm like, I'm someone that thinks about stuff like that too. I'm not like, oh, I'm here for the ride, we'll figure it out. But I'm like, I feel at peace about it. I'm like, God's got me. He got it. We'll figure it, like, we'll figure it out, like, when I get there, we'll cross that bridge. I say, you don't even have a job, da-da-da-da. God's got me. You'll provide for me when I get there. I say, you don't have friends, God's got me. He'll provide a community, he'll provide people when I get there. I say, God's got me. When I get there, I'll see it. Like, I was so at peace with that thought, and I was so sure in who my God is, that he'll provide for me when I get there, that I wasn't anxious. Because of my last season, I've come to an understanding about who God is, and who he says he is, and who he is, essentially. Like, you know what I mean? He is God. Because my last season, I was able to understand that, and it prepared me for this next season. I'm like, I had this, like, I don't even know how to understand, like, it was just this peace. It was so crazy. I didn't even understand. I was questioning it. I'm like, girl, you had this feeling, seems very similar to that one, but it's not like this impulse, this bad decision. It's like you're burnt out. It was just a peace that you're feeling, a peace that, like, no inner conflict at all. Like, just like, I just felt so at peace that, like, God will bring me here. He'll provide for me when I get there. But I'm like, Hasait. This is what peace is. This is what peace is. You haven't experienced a peace like this. That's why you're confused. You're doubting everything. Is because you haven't actually experienced a peace like this before. I came to the understanding that I was experiencing peace, and God was giving me peace about it. God was giving me peace about the next season. God was giving me peace about Montreal and what he'll do for me in Montreal. So I was walking in that surety, walking in that faith, walking with that, the word over me, walking in that. And so I did it. I just packed everything up, and I did it. And I remember even just like looking for apartments, like couldn't find any apartments, and I started doubting. I'm like, God, is this something I'm even supposed to do? Like, you know, when you're looking for someone, you're like, what the hell am I doing? Why am I looking for a place? Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I'm moving and I'm doing all this and I'm searching for apartments. Like, you know, you start actually processing your thoughts and like, am I making a bad decision? But also knowing who God is, I'm like, God will provide for me in a place. God will provide for me in a place. I say, you can't find it, but like, no. Oh, I missed this opportunity to find this nice apartment because this person not answering, or somebody else got ahead of me, or you know what I mean? but I was like, I say God is going to provide for you a place that's better than what you could ever think or imagine. And that's what he did. Literally, like, it was God's hand and his favors over me and over my situation, that he provided an apartment that is way better than what I could ever think or imagine, hands down, period. Like, truly God, like it was God ordained, with lovely people, lovely, like a lovely landlord, like just lovely everything. Like I'm experiencing what God's hand over my life looks like. I'm glad I didn't go earlier, because now I'm walking on what favor looks like. I'm walking in what a situation that has God's hand over it looks like. You know what I mean? And so yeah, your girl moved to Montreal. I'm still like experiencing, and I'm still navigating it, and I'm still navigating the feelings that I'm feeling. And I know that God's gonna provide for me and give everything that I need. I know that I'm in my faith season, and I'm very like, I'm one of those people, like, I'm like, I don't even know, like, I'm almost like, just watch, just watch, you will see what it looks like, just watch. And even I don't know even the entirety of all of it, the totality of all of it, but like, just watch what God's gonna do. Yes. So I'm in the season of trusting God, you know, what it looks like to trust God in something, you know, even when it looks like it's crazy, but walking in crazy faith. And I'm going to be documenting my journey of what God has in store for me. I feel like this season's very much like the season of faith and obedience. I feel like this season's very much like faith, like a faith season, like an obedience season. Like, it's just, yeah, like it's gonna be a season where like just almost like a watch and see type of season. And I'm just gonna be documenting my life here, my chapter here in Montreal. So if you're very interested in seeing what that looks like, comment below, but also subscribe to this channel if that's something you want to see. But yeah, thank you so much. I don't even know how long this video is gonna be. Like, I actually generally don't know. It could be an hour, it could be 40 minutes, it could be 30. I actually generally don't have an idea, but I do know it's a long time. So if you've watched it to the end, I'm very, very happy. And not even that, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hope it has inspired somebody, it has touched someone. Yeah, I'm still figuring it out. I'm still navigating it. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. To begin with, I'm so thankful. I love you guys so much. Hope to see you next time. Subscribe to my channel, comment down below, like the video, comment down what you want to see from me. Yeah, comment down what you want to see from me. And yeah, anyways, love you guys so much. Bye guys.